in transition. Uses his body well, and that's great. Connects on long range. Good. Attacking the rim through the contact. Gets it to go, and that was a strong contest.
Another day, another dollar. The second under 13 semi-final coming at you live from Wits Old Mutual Sports Hall. And this, of course, the St. John's Basketball Tournament of 2020. It's been a cloudy, overcast weekend, but a hot day in the gym at the moment. The next game, Highbury Prep versus Sacred Heart College. In the chair next to me, Mr. Labaka, how are you?
I'm very well, and you? How are you doing, Adam?
No complaints. That first game was absolutely superb. But the next semi-final, the next winner to get through to the final, it is building, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, follow us live, not just myself, Adam Zawada, or Mr. Labaka, but also follow School Sports Live. You can get it on Twitter, you can get it on Facebook, you can get it on the gram, that is Instagram for the older generation listening. And of course, you can also find us on YouTube. So tell your friends, tell your family, because the basketball at the moment in Johannesburg at Wits is absolutely superb. So Mr. Labaka, what do we think of this game? What are your predictions? Who do you think seeing? Who do you want to watch out for?
To be honest, I mean, at the under 13 level, it's a little bit difficult to tell you who to watch out for, because you never know on this particular day which team will be quite impressive. What I do like is I like Sacred Heart simply for the fact that I know the coach, and I think he's a very good coach. If the players play anyway like he is, it should be a great game, and we should see Sacred Heart pulling away with this. But don't take anything away from Highbury Prep. They could surprise us.
What's quite interesting to see at the moment is obviously some boys that grow fast or whatever the story is. Highbury Prep currently with a larger roster. By that I mean their size. And I mean, if we look at this, we've got Mkhize, Kurak, Malongo, Kurak. So two brothers busy playing at the moment. Marchant, Mansi, Noah, Brown, Grenfell, Longwa, Belcher, and DeVet coming in. So this should be a Highbury Prep ball, just through height differences.
Yeah, based on the height difference, and unfortunately,
timing's important though.
Yeah, it depends on how well the young man over there jumps. Unfortunately, it looks like Sacred Heart does not have numbers on their jersey, so it will be quite difficult for us to identify who's who on the Sacred Hearts team.
Yeah, no, definitely. There goes that idea, huh?
Yeah, guess we'll just be calling a great basketball game. Hopefully a great basketball game.
Highbury Prep wins that tip-off. They're going now round, straight into the key. Their big ball carrier, that's number 4 for Highbury. That's Mvelo Mkhize, doing very well there straight off the bat. Highbury Prep, it does run out of play, but they do manage to keep a possession of the ball. I definitely think Highbury is going to use their bigs as much as
and
possible.
Look at that young man, Connor Grenfell, grabbing that rebound. Unfortunately, he couldn't convert on the basket.
Yeah, definitely. I think Highbury Prep is definitely going to take advantage of, like you said, Connor Grenfell, number 14, and then number 12, James Hastings Brown. Those are the two big men at the moment for Highbury Prep. And we've also got the Siyanga Longwa, who's another big man for them. So they've got 3 big men at the moment on the court. It was a defensive foul, so Sacred Heart has an opportunity to open the scoring at the moment.
Yeah, Adam, if you recall, yesterday we had some very poor foul shooting, free throw shooting by the older players. These young men seem to be doing a whole lot better than their older brothers.
Well, what's been quite interesting actually is you get certain sides that have terrible shot percentages, and you can see which sides have been completely drilled in the process of this. Big layup, and he will draw the foul. That's clever by Sacred Heart.
Yeah, that young man basically used his body to make contact with the defender, and unfortunately couldn't convert the basket. Now at the free throw line.
So Highbury Prep leading at the moment.
Okay, unfortunately, young man misses his first free throw, and working on that motion.
Throws that way too high at the moment. 1-0 to Sacred Heart College.
Yeah, so he worked on that wrist motion, but he didn't put any legs into that shot.
So the main ball carrier for Highbury Prep, Mvelo Mkhize, He's clearly their big ball carrier. Number 8 as well, Trent Marchant. He's clearly going to try be the setup at the moment. Who are going to be their main ball carriers and then look for their big players. Sacred Heart finds some space in the key.
And then
he goes up for a big 2-pointer. Not a bad shot.
That is
rebounded by
Alula
Grenfell.
Omotoso.
Again, McKeezy pushing through. He finds Grenfell. Grenfell offering support. Grenfell goes up. He draws a foul. So again, and more fouls all the way through.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Grenfell came so high to come in and actually pick up the ball, especially a young man of his height. You would expect him to immediately get to the low post, but he did need to give Mkiza some release.
Yeah, McKeezy definitely needed the help. Grenfell missing his first shot. They need to make sure here. They need to make sure on their points. There's points to be had here.
Okay, and
Line infringement.
Grenfell's also got a good shooting mechanics there, even though he missed both free throws.
Sacred Heart finds a loose player by the key, goes up for the shot, doesn't give enough on it.
And a jump ball between Sacred Heart and this is now Sacred Heart's ball. Unfortunately, the young man just not understanding the lines, the basketball lines.
Oh, what a cut. He managed to get through the three players in the key to get a shot off. It wasn't a great shot, but he did all the hard work not to be rewarded. This time going down to number 8, Trent Marchant loses possession of the ball.
Although we still haven't seen any basket from both teams.
Yeah, there's been no free play brass basket at the moment.
Yeah, and it's right now it's a bit difficult to tell which team has already kind of settled into this game, because both teams still seem to be feeling each other out. They still seem to be quite nervous, turning over the ball, fouling. So let's see if which team will be the first one to settle into this game, to settle their nerves and get it going.
Look, this is going to be quite interesting because the previous semi-final before this between Michael Mount and what was the second team?
St. Peter's.
St. Peter's was very good. And depending on the competition here, I'm not sure how this is going to go down in the final, because both these teams have really not stepped up really well to the plate at the moment. It's been a very slow start. Let's rather say it like that.
No, it's been a very, very slow start. Hopefully these young men will get it going. And as you mentioned earlier, the not the St. Peter's, but the Highbury size might come into play, and we have to look out for how the coach actually uses his big guys in this particular game to see whether that will translate in the finals against St. Peter's.
What I like to see is Sacred Heart is out early. They're on the court waiting. They want points. They know what they need to do, and they want to try get points as well. Just a reminder that Sacred Heart leads 1-0 to Highbury Prep. A lot of time already passed in the first quarter, so this balance really in. They find the player top of the key. They spring it wide, decides to drive.
Oh, very
goes
nice
back
play.
through the key. It does beautifully, but doesn't sink the shot. High shot percentages are going to be what matters, what counts here.
Yeah, I love what the coach drew up during that timeout, and the players executed almost to perfection.
What I like to see at the moment is that Sacred Heart is not letting Highbury Prep settle. They're not allowing their formations to go up. Highbury Prep need to keep their hands up. Their hands up aren't up at the moment. But Sacred Heart is definitely winning the possession and territorial battle at the moment.
Yeah, Highbury's defense is a little bit lacking there. It's slow. They need to step it up a little bit more. Mkiza bringing up the ball.
Mkiza, clearly the main ball carrier for Highbury Prep. It's Brown with a travel. Needs to bounce before you can walk, boys. Simple mistakes here. You need to keep possession here.
And as we see Sacred Heart bringing up that ball, Sacred Heart wants to run against this team, because they understand that with the size disadvantage that they have to make sure that they don't allow that defense to settle. Oh, and a great shot by Sacred Heart, putting the first basket on book.
So Sacred Heart leading 3-0 at the moment. They're the only point scorers at the moment. So now, what does Highbury Prep decide to do? They know they need to come back.
Unfortunately, Highbury fouling. Oh, my bad. Looks like it's a foul on Sacred Heart.
Yeah, so Sacred Heart now Highbury Prep retains possession just to play lacing up his laces. The first quarter almost done. It's been a very slow start. Not a lot of buckets happening at the moment. It's been quite a slow start currently. Highbury Prep with a chance to score a point. That's exactly what they do. The score, 3-2 to Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart is in the lead. We're sorting out that scoring deficit at the moment. Just a quick technical error there. Sacred Heart, another opportunity to go up against the board. Doesn't quite get it right.
Highbury finally using one of their big men to get a basket.
It's about the consistency of how often they throw it up. See, to me, that's a waste.
You're
never going to score anything in that. So Sacred Heart at the moment playing better basketball at the moment. There's so many lines on the court that Sacred Heart player actually lost sight of where he has to go.
Yeah, I think the lines have been quite difficult for these young men. They're used to playing at different courts. This is the first time that they play at the Old Mutual Sports Hall, which is a multi-purpose sports hall. These turnovers.
Too many fouls, and in the wrong places. If you have the possession, you've got to retain that possession. Highbury Prep not getting back on defense, and Sacred Heart is going to get behind them every time and put those points away. 5-2, and there's only about 40 seconds left in the final quarter. Sacred Heart leading 5-2, ladies and gentlemen.
Very evident in terms of Sacred Heart strategy. They are going to run this team to the ground.
Well, I like that intensity from Sacred Heart, though. I like that they're going to run. They don't let them set in form, and they push up high and hard. It's the way to do it, I feel.
Okay.
Again, another offensive foul by Highbury.
Yeah, Highbury is very lax on the defensive side. Unlike Sacred Heart, they're very, very alert on their defensive side, and offensively they go out running.
Sacred Heart spreading it around the key. They've got an opportunity to make a plan here. What's very interesting to see, we've got a band starting up. We see some instruments and a band kicking in now. So you can hear that in the background. Immediately, you can hear it in my voice. You can hear it in the tone of the gymnasium. The pressure is on. The intensity is on. The crowd is peaking up. It is a great thing to watch and see.
Yeah, so the band is trying to bring up Highbury's intensity. I think they could see that Highbury needs to step it up a little bit more to ensure that we have a very good semi-final here. So as we look at the score right now, Sacred Heart leading Highbury Prep 5-2. Not the best score in the world, but
it's been a very quiet first quarter, that's for sure.
Yeah, it got a lot better closer to the end of the quarter. We hope that the second quarter will be a lot better.
No, definitely. There's still 46 seconds left in this quarter, though. 5-2 to Sacred Heart. Remember, as well, it's been an absolute wonderful tournament, though, it has to be said. I mean, we're internationally represented. It is so good to see basketball growing, because this tournament that is set up by St. John's has just gone from strength to strength to strength. It is absolutely superb.
Yeah, and we have some international teams coming through into the country. We have teams coming from Botswana, from Zim, from Mozambique. So not only the local South African teams.
Well, I mean, it goes as far as Swaziland, yes. Kenya. And I was speaking to Q a few years ago, and this contest actually attracted an Indian basketball side who were represented 2 years ago, which is great to see.
Yeah, that is great to see. I actually did not realize that we had clubs coming or schools coming out of other countries outside of our continent.
No, definitely. So the first quarter done. The second quarter's about to kick off here at the moment. That timeout running too late and then being punished time-wise, both sides. So Highbury Prep, they're going for that zone defense at the moment, but they haven't been fast enough on the way back. They need to make a plan because Sacred Heart is going to run the ball behind them. Yeah,
and Highbury Prep continues running their starting lineup, haven't made a substitution yet. And as we watch Sacred Heart coming through with a completely new team.
Yeah, they're literally running as first and second side at the moment. They're even playing in different shirts to differentiate. They're making the coach's life easier.
Yeah, or maybe it's not a completely new team. It's just the change in...
the referee said they probably look too similar. Their kit, they're both in blue. That's why.
Yeah. Okay, and as we watch Sacred Heart
goes up for a big three.
I like Sacred Heart's sets. Sacred Heart understand what they're up against, and they will then either play through their sets in the half-court defense, or they'll try and run the defense down. Although I have to say that the play that they ran in the last play is not suited for a 2-3 defense.
We have to see what happens here. Ball goes over the halfway line. Sacred Heart can counter. Look at that speed. Look at that intensity. They are immediately pushing up the line as hard as they can to see what happens and how the correct way to do it is. So let's see what happens. And immediately they draw that foul, which is absolutely superb, which is what we want to see.
These young men look like they're very well coached. Look at the young man at the free throw line. Look at him working on his motion before taking that free throw.
Sacred Heart is definitely the stronger of the two sides at the moment. I feel that they're struggling a bit to put the ball in the actual net. So they do very well to get up in the key, but they're still not putting enough points on the board to win a semi-final. They might win this semi-final, but then will it be enough in the next game, the final, or so on and so on?
Yeah, and just the size disadvantage that they have, I can see them taking advantage of this team, even though they have a size disadvantage, but I'm not sure if that will be enough in the finals.
I feel their basics are better than Highbury at the moment, and that's why they're walking away with positivity. Big three-pointer, almost in. But again, yes, when they play, it will be, if Sacred Heart win, they'll be playing St. Peter's. And St. Peter's also have one or two big players. Their MVP, Tole, was absolutely superb.
They've got, and St. Peter's has got very skilled big men.
Yes.
That are willing to be in the low post, so they will use their size advantage.
Some subs happening for Highbury Prep and for Sacred Heart College. I am absolutely loving the band in the background. Let's see if they can bring up the intensity. Loving the energy. Basketball at the moment a little flat halfway through the second quarter.
Yeah.
Sacred Heart playing good ball though, Lebaka, but I think struggling to score points.
I'm enjoying the Sacred. I'm enjoying watching them, but I'm also enjoying the sets on this side. If you recall a game that we did yesterday, St. John's versus Maruapula. St. John's ran a very similar defense to Highbury Prep that Maruapula couldn't penetrate. But Sacred Heart just running the right sets to penetrate this 2-3 defense.
No, definitely. So it seems that there was the offensive foul by Highbury Prep. The big man, number 15, Ziyanda Langwe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, drawing that.
So Sacred Heart have brought in a slightly bigger man who is playing the high post, which is what is needed to break this defense. And he's shown that he will have some success in this game, even though he's had two consecutive turnovers.
He's really struggling. Sacred Heart is struggling to penetrate the zone defense. But that's why they're trying to rush it with intensity. But then they stop and allow them to set because they're really struggling to penetrate the zone. That's the problem at the moment.
And they go back to the big man at the high post.
A big drive with a little man, but he's never going to get away from Langwe like that. That's about 4 foot nothing against 6 feet there.
Yeah, Langwe is a bit of a beast down there at the low post.
No basket. Highbury almost getting the opportunity to, but the player stepped out, even if he's not so sure about it. Number 7, that's Spasa Kurak, one of the brothers busy playing at the moment, doing really well to get the ball in the bucket, but unfortunately stepping out of bounds.
And it's still a Highbury Prep ball, and unfortunately they turn that over and commit a very unnecessary foul.
Highbury are committing too many offensive fouls in the opposing key. Big drive by Sacred Heart, but again, no points at the moment. This is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. There aren't any balls going in the basket, and timeout called.
Yeah, no, although that was an offensive foul, I like what that young man was trying to do there. You can see that is all coaching. As a small player against a big player, what you need to do is that you need to then put somebody on that big guy to try and prevent him from blocking your shot. Unfortunately, the execution was just a little bit off, and the ref called an offensive foul on the young man.
What I like to see as well, a bit off topic, off the field, the band's busy warming up for some of the bigger games that are happening, the big finals. And every time there's a timeout when the coaches need to speak, they take a quick breather. And then they want to start the second the game starts again, which is really cool to see because you know, they're obviously here to represent their school and support their team, but they're helping out a few other sides whilst they're doing it.
Yeah, I appreciate the coordination that they have here. I have been to tournaments where coaches have struggled just to get to be heard by their players because there's no coordination between the musicians and and the coaching staff.
No, definitely. So, timeout called at the moment. There's about 30 minutes, 40 seconds left on the clock in the second quarter. Both these teams need to make something happen because I feel
we haven't seen a basket
team,
here.
It's so far in this quarter we haven't seen a basket, but I feel the first team that does manage to open out, and not just open out, but open out and score 2 or 3 quick baskets is going to change this game immensely.
Yeah. Sacred Heart has been the one team that if I was a betting man, I would say that Sacred Heart would probably, be able to put a little bit more points on the board in this quarter, just because of what we've seen so far.
Takes a little bit of individual brilliance though, Labaka, and then suddenly this game changes.
That's very true, and I think number 24 on the Sacred Heart side has shown me Vilagazi.
That goes up, and there's a basket by Highbury. Very well played. That's the big man. That's Brown, I believe. James Brown, number 12. Yeah. No, sorry, apologies. That's Connor Grenfell, 14, doing the job there.
Apologies. It looks like everyone on Sacred Heart is wearing 24.
Sacred Heart going for a 3. Bang, nothing but net. Banks it off the backboard. That was absolutely superb. So
beautiful shot.
It went from a 1-point game to now a 4-point game again. That's good from Sacred Heart, responding in kind.
Yeah. So just back to the numbering on the back of Sacred Heart's shirts. Sacred Heart wearing number 24 in remembrance of the late, great Kobe Bryant.
So, Connor Grenfell doesn't sink the basket, but does manage to draw the foul. Can he bring this back into a one-possession game? That was some nice technique. Not enough weight on it, my boy. Come, got to hit the gym. Put it up there. Give the ball a chance.
Let's see if he adjusts for the second shot.
Almost too much this time. He did a line infringement as well as, apart from going too soft the first throw, he then overcompensated and went too hard.
This is the second time he's done that line infringement. That's something that's has to do with coaching as well.
The coaching from Sacred Heart at the moment, Kazette Junior Mutongoa, has been very good at the moment. You can see their basics are good, but they've been struggling with the net. It's that zone defense from Highbury, and the coach won't change that because it's been good zone defense.
Still love that high post play by Sacred Heart. Still think that high post play is going to get them some points.
At the moment, though, what are they going to do? A bit of space in the key, decides to drive, goes back out. There's a bit of space to shoot. It's exactly what happens, and 2 more points. I like that because they're not throwing threes. They're still getting close to the key, so it's not an impossible shot.
Yes, and this young man is now scored just the last 5 points for Sacred Heart.
And immediately Sacred Heart go 10-4. We spoke about a flurry of points, and there it is.
As we watch High Prep inbound in the ball, Sacred Heart.
But look at that, 3 Sacred Heart players around 2 Highbury players. That's where the problem lies at the moment. They can't get the ball out of possession. Yeah. They're struggling. Was that a coaching technical foul?
I'm actually...
Because it's gone straight to a free throw from the original infringement.
Unless
Keezy goes up, misses.
Unless we're dealing with foul trouble here.
It might be that, yeah.
In fact, we are dealing with a foul trouble situation.
Team fouls, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was very confused. McKeezy goes up again, doesn't get it away. Sacred Heart, now is the chance to counter. They need to keep up their speed. They need to try get behind Highbury before they set up that zone defense. It's the zone defense that is keeping Highbury in the game at the moment. Because if Highbury can work on their offense, they're in business. Big point, goes for the 3, doesn't get it right. Highbury gets the rebound, tries to throw it off, but Sacred Heart pressuring high, pressuring heavy.
So, as we watch Mkiza bringing up that ball, trying to find his big man Sangwa.
Finds Sangwa quite well.
Sangwa using his height advantage, and unfortunately can't convert on that basket.
Krango, I was aware of the watch quite well, so that brings up halftime. Labaka, give us a breakdown of what you think happened in the first half of this game.
So I think the first half, Sacred Heart came in here knowing what they wanted to do. They knew that that Highfield Prep had a height advantage on them, and what the only way that they could break that down was to try and run them to the ground, which they did quite consistently. In the half court, Highfield Prep utilized a 2-3 zone defense, which, from my perspective, I felt Sacred Heart handled very well. I've seen some of the older players in other teams in the quarterfinals that we watched yesterday completely confused by this by the zone defense. Highfield Prep, Sacred Heart rather, actually decided that what they will do is that they will use a postman at the top to try and bring up the big men from Highfield Prep, so that they could actually then look at driving to the basket. It worked quite well. Unfortunately, they couldn't convert on some of the baskets until one of the Sacred Hearts players decided to take it upon himself and score a quick five-pointer, which stretched the lead for Sacred Heart to 10-4.
Yeah, there you said it from Mr. Labaka. Highbury Prep 4 and Sacred Heart 10 in the second semi-final currently being played here at the Wits Old Mutual Hall. It very much seems like it is Sacred Heart's game at the moment. Tactically, consistently, just with their basics, Sacred Heart teams on the ball and in the position to do something about it more so than Highbury. The zone defense of Highbury has been quite good. Labaka mentioned that. But they haven't been anywhere offensively. If they can maybe sink 2 or 3, 4 baskets in quick succession, they might be able to bounce back in this game and turn it into a very tight semi-final.
Yeah, and at this age group level, you look at just the development of the players in terms of what the coach has done to try and develop his players. And it's the more skilled team, more skilled players that will tend to then lead the charge. Lead their charge to a victory. And what we're seeing right now is we're seeing that Sacred Heart seems to have the more skilled players, the better coached players on their side, and I think just from what we're seeing, they should be able to close out this particular game, unless of course Highfield Prep decides to change their tactics and try and use their big men a little bit better in the second half, and the big men actually are a little bit more aggressive than they were in the first half.
We're giving a bit of a halftime show at the moment. You can hear the band in the background kicking over as well. You gotta love it. I'm a purveyor of music, and there's nothing more I love like a live band. Like the brass band in PE and the cricket, absolutely superb.
Yeah, I'm quite sure these young men have watched that brass band, and they believe that they can emulate them. So
halftime done, Mr. Labaka, Sacred Heart leading 4-10 at the moment. Where do you think this is going to go? I still think it's going to be Sacred Heart's game, unless the tactics, or Highbury Prep's tactics have changed, but more importantly, the players are able to change, to put it into effect.
Look at the young men from Sacred Heart and the communication. I think Sacred Heart has got this, probably can have this game under the bag, but as we watch, the young man is at Brown, that's Hastings Brown, bullying the Sacred Heart player, using his height advantage.
Big size difference there, holding his ground well and forcing the defensive foul. So now Highbury Prep gets a chance to get on the ball. This is what we like to see. He goes up and he sinks it. Now it's a 5-point game. If Highbury Prep, like I said once, I'll say it again, if they can sink 2 or 3 in a row here and suddenly bring it back to a 10-point game each or a 1-possession game each, they're in business. Something can happen. They can maybe pull a victory from the jaws of defeat.
Yeah, I mean, that was an aggressive play by Brown. He understood that he's got the height advantage and he's got the size advantage from a weight perspective, so he could bully that young. And as we watch number 14,
it's Connor Grenfell doing his job, getting the rebound and putting it straight back in. So now it becomes a 3-point game with the first one being sunk. So this is exactly what Highbury Prep would have wanted going into the first half. They need to try zone out this defense, defend it out, force it out, and then from there try get somewhere. Big post up in the zone by Sacred Heart. What can they do? He decides to go back up. Fakes the shot. He fakes 1, fakes 2. Gets over the tall man. Now it gets rebounded well by Brown. Brown gives it out. Now it's still the main ball carrier for Highbury Prep. Mkizi's been doing well. He spreads it out wide. Now they find Brown again. Brown couldn't hold on to it though. And unfortunately the Sacred Heart player steps out of play. So
Better
Highbury
second
ball.
half. Better second half by Highbury Prep.
Better intensity.
Yes. I think they've realized that actually they need to be a little bit more intense. They need to be a little bit more aggressive. And that's what they've done. And it's looking a whole lot better. I think we are in for a great second half.
This is an interesting play by Highbury Prep. They line up exactly in a line and then try and bombshell out to try and create confusion. Kizi looking for the big man. Too big, heavier pass and it will run out, meaning Sacred Heart's ball. This has been a much better half.
Yes, and it was a right intention, terrible execution. They were trying to find their big man Tlangwa there. Unfortunately, Tlangwa couldn't hold on to the ball. And as we watched Sacred Heart's player taking that shot, and unfortunately he's airballed that particular shot.
So the thing is, I think Sacred Heart is going to try do a lot more shots to try and counter. Now Sacred Heart have stolen the ball. They're on the counter. They're a fast break. It should be in, and it is. That's
Beautiful.
Always good. Good from Sacred Heart.
Beautiful
so the
play.
Interesting point is that can be used by Sacred Heart. To Sacred Heart's advantage is the ability
Sacred Heart steals the ball again.
He keeps it in play. Now they can fast break. He passes it. Too much work, but not enough. Beautiful. That's a quick Sacred Heart break.
Running and gunning from Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart doing very, very well there. And this was in response to Highbury Prep's, how Highbury Prep started the second half. Highbury Prep had 2 quick baskets on their side, and Sacred Heart came right back with two quick baskets off the fast break.
Sacred Heart's intensity is absolutely superb at the moment, and they're making sure that this lead is still remaining intact. Look at that technique, nice and basic, keeps it up all the way, doesn't miss an opportunity like that. The crowd loves it, which is really good to see. Sacred Heart well supported in the middle, just above the South African flag. That's the second one, doing really well. Sacred Heart now lead by 7.
Yeah, as we finalize that timeout taken by Highbury Prep. Just try and...
Knowing he needs to counter. He can't stop that, allow those counters.
He just needs to make some changes to what his players were doing in there. Needs his point guard to release the ball a little bit quicker, given the intensity of the defense on the Sacred Heart side.
So Highbury Prep retains advantage. What are they going to do with it? Sacred Heart comes up high. There's too much pressure. Throws a high ball. It gets stolen immediately by Sacred Heart. That's the full court press. That's the pressure coming in. He doesn't manage to put the ball in. I like that Sacred Heart is going man-on-man full court press. They've got 2 guys high. Stolen it again. Now he goes up for an easy shot. Misses it, unfortunately. Mkizi can try and counter. Highbury needs to release. There's the ball speed to Langwa. Langwa goes straight up. Sinks it.
This is fantastic basketball at an under 13 level.
The game is opening up, and that's what's happening from Sacred Heart's play. Highbury Prep realizes they need to try counter that intensity with their own.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this entire. I'm loving what the coach, in fact, even the Highbury Prep coach, I'm loving what the coaches are doing. But even better, the young men, when they come back on the court, they're showing that they listen to what their coaches are telling them.
So what I like to see is Highbury Prep is mixing it up in one particular fashion. Oh, well kept in by that individual player. Still to retain possession is, great pass, great basketball.
Beautiful basketball.
Absolutely
Beautiful
superb.
basketball by Sacred Heart.
Absolutely superb. I love it. So Sacred, what Highbury Prep are doing is they're trying to set up their formation on defense.
Yeah,
right?
but unfortunately Sacred Heart is not allowed. Brown!
It's muscled out. Absolutely beautiful, Brown.
The bully Brown, and bully in a good manner, not.
He's making his impact known on the court, getting good impact there. So at the moment, this game immediately opening up. Sacred Heart increasing the intensity. What Highbury is doing is immediately going straight back on zone defense, but trying to match the intensity on the counter, on attack. They're trying to get behind them. They're realizing their normal way is not going. But a defensive foul, and so Sacred Heart gets 2 more points, or a good 2 chances to get points.
Yeah, I have a big problem with that entire play that happened there on the Sacred Heart side. Sacred Heart has been good on the half-court offense where they set up their plays and all of that. This was a lot about individuals trying to do some magic, and he was just bailed out by a Highbury Prep on that side.
It's a good shot by Sacred Heart. Sinks the first, misses the second.
And unfortunately, line infringement once again.
Some subs for Sacred Heart, keeping their legs fresh to keep that intensity up at the moment. That's what we like to see. Highbury, not sure who they have to mark.
Oh,
Stolen ball
Yes.
again. Now there's a counter opportunity. Great 1-2 passing. Doesn't sink the shot though.
the coach is probably not too happy there. The Highbury Prep coach is not too happy there.
Well, Sacred Heart's ability to steal the ball has just been absolutely superb. And then their short men are winning rebounds. Offensive rebounds against three bigs.
They're working very, very hard, knowing that they have that disadvantage on that side from a size perspective.
There we go immediately. Look at that ball. What Sacred Heart is doing is they're trusting their players, so they're throwing the ball into space. And that ball gets thrown into space, which then creates a good scenario.
And not only just throwing it into space, you are leading your players towards the basket, because that is what you're meant to do as a basketball player. If you're throwing the ball into space, you need to try and lead the player that needs to be receiving the ball. You need to lead them towards the basket. So what Sacred Heart is doing is fantastic, and I can't say this enough. Just shows good coaching.
Look, it's only 2 minutes left in the third quarter, and what Highbury Prep have done rather quietly is they've stayed within catching distance.
Yeah,
they've made sure to stay within catching distance consistently.
Yeah, as we watch Brown, bullying the young man from Sacred Heart there to get his 2 points. I'm impressed with the adjustment made on the Highbury Prep side. Highbury Prep also realized that they can also pick up the intensity by trying to run at Sacred Heart, which they've done well, but they've also decided that they will try and use their big men a little bit better in the second half, which they've done so far. So let's see what Brown, Grenfell and Tlangwa can do in the last 8 to 10 minutes of this game.
Look, I know Highbury's plan will be to try and remain within 6 or 5 points in the last 4 minutes of the game and see what they can then do from there. Because at the moment, it is a free throw for Highbury Prep, I believe.
I think it's an inbound. It's an inbound ball.
Yeah, inbound from the baseline for Sacred Heart. So Highbury Prep on defense. They need to get out the key. Sacred Heart spreads it around the key. They keep the ball coming. They've got time. He decides to drive. Too much pressure. Decides to come out.
Unfortunately, he walks on the
travel.
Turns over the ball.
So now you see Highbury loses its intensity. Now they're not releasing the ball.
Full court press from
because they're going with some long balls. Those balls are never going to come right. Sacred Heart steals it, drives, goes up 2 points.
Sacred Heart knows what they're doing. The coach has decided that he's going to adopt a full court press for the last 2 minutes. And unfortunately, Highbury Prep does not
win another long ball, but very lucky to do so.
Yeah.
So now Highbury Prep, what they're trying to do is they're going to go with a strong arm of Grenfell, and they are going to try to launch it as far as they can up the court and then take it from there.
But
I think it's supposed to replace speed, but it won't work.
No, it won't. I mean, that's not the greatest strategy in the world. What you need to be doing is that you need to have your guards coming in, trying to open up to actually get the ball from the big man as the big man is inbounding. The big man can't be throwing Hail Marys and hoping that one of his players will catch a ball.
An interesting change now is also Highbury Prep goes zone. They leave the zone for man-on-man, and immediately Sacred Heart's individual skills walks away with positivity because there's too much space in the key, Mr. Labaka.
Sacred Heart throwing a flurry of punches at Highbury Prep, and Highbury Prep is a little bit dazed right now. They're not sure what's happening. They're not sure how to adjust to the new strategy by Sacred Heart.
I think their tactical decisions by Highbury Prep were not the smartest at the moment, because Grenfell's looking for another high ball. Now he sees a runner, and it's always going to get intercepted.
This requires the coach to have actually taken a timeout, because this game is running away from Highbury Prep.
And Sacred Heart steals it. Now Highbury Prep do manage to get a quick break, but that's the difference between a quick break and a long throw and hope. Sacred Heart, 3 seconds on the clock. They need to look up. 1 second on the clock. He does get it up, and the buzzer goes. So third quarter done, and immediately some poor tactical decisions by Highbury Prep increases that lead from 21 to 11. Sacred Heart in the lead.
Yeah, no, Sacred Heart in the last 2 minutes of this particular game, they came in with guns blazing. The coach of Sacred Heart, knowing fully well what he wanted to do in this particular game, what he wanted to do in those last 2 minutes, the players executing to the coach's tactics, and unfortunately, Highbury Prep not fully understanding how to counter what Sacred Heart was doing at that point in time. The coach of Highbury Prep, I just felt maybe needed to take a quick time out there and just to calm his players down and just explain to them how you counter a full court press. Hopefully that's what he's doing right now as he's sitting there talking to his players.
Remember to follow us on Instagram at School Sports Live. Facebook, you can just School Sports Live, and at School Sports Live on Twitter. And you're obviously engaging at hashtag SSL Basketball. And this is the day to watch some of the best basketball in high school in the country. I can safely say it is going to be absolutely superb. Of course, even after this game, do not miss out. After this, there is the bronze playoff between the previous loser, which should be Michael Mount Waldorf under 13 side, and the loser of this game will be playing for a bronze medal. So again, we look at body language. Immediately, Sacred Heart is out. They're ready.
That's exactly what I was just looking at. These young men jump up immediately as the whistle blows. They're in here. They set up, and you can see heads held up high, jumping around, waiting for the opponent.
They're the fitter side as well.
Yeah, no, they are. They are, definitely. So as Highbury Prep jumps on the court.
So Highbury makes their way onto the court. We're in it for the last quarter. It is the fourth quarter, ladies and gentlemen. Sacred Heart has it at the key, decides to spread it out, almost loses possession. Now they've got space to shoot. That's exactly not what he does. He drives. A lot of height. What I like to see is they're still driving against the big guy, and they're just throwing a very big arc. Pulls the trigger from far, doesn't get the 2 points.
Oh, look at that. These short men from Sacred Heart are battling against a big man from Highbury Prep, and they're winning some of these rebounds.
You cannot lose those defensive rebounds to the offensive side, especially when there's such a height difference at the moment.
Yeah, no, and Sacred Heart has decided that they will continue with their press, with their aggressive defense. They want to see if Mkhize can beat them off the dribble. And I like that strategy because as we watch, the young Grenfell taking the ball strong to the basket and
it's a good drive to draw that defensive foul for points to try and minimize this lead that Sacred Heart has at the moment.
Now let's watch the free throws. As we've seen, the first 2 free throws that he took, the second one that generally ends up being a line infringement. Let's hope that the coach has spoken to him. Unfortunately, this is another one of those line infringements that he's so prone to committing. And as we watch Sacred Heart bringing up that ball, setting up their offense, the defense from Highbury Prep has now come alive. They're moving. Those boys are moving. And as we watch,
you can't let the ball get stolen in the paint. You can't lose possession like that.
So he did well in getting the rebound, and unfortunately, he lost the ball, and he was quite lucky to get it back.
So will Highbury Prep change their plans? It seems that they're not going for the long ball anymore, so immediately they have a bit of possession. And again, a long pass. I don't feel that was Mkhize's pass. I felt Brown was a little flat-footed there. He needed to predict that ball coming. He had a lot of time to react. Yeah,
so Mkhize needs the players to give him some of that release, right? Especially because they're putting pressure on him. So his players need to be more mobile, more aware, and allow him to be able to get off an easier pass release.
It's good defense by Grenfell. Good, clean defense, it might be said. Brown gets the ball now. What does he do with it? He decides to carry it. Sacred Heart's going to defend him easily and well. Now he's put in the corner. Too much pressure. Mkhize has it now. He decides to drive. Throws a heavy ball against the backboard though.
That was a terrible shot by Mkhize there. But I like the fact that he gave Brown that release that I was referring to earlier in terms of as Brown was getting pressured.
The thing is they're throwing and hoping at the moment, Highbury Prep, whenever they do get in an attacking position. And that's not good. That's not what you want to see. Sacred Heart wins another offensive rebound, which they shouldn't be. What a layup.
That is a beautiful shot.
The technique was gorgeous.
Oh, that is a lovely shot there by Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart almost steals the ball again. This is what we're talking about at the moment. Highbury Prep are being dominated. Brown finally finding some space to score a bucket.
That was a whole lot better. That was a much better in terms of how you beat that full court press. Just get the players in the right position, move the ball. The ball moves faster than the player.
But finally, Highbury scoring some points, but Sacred Heart is absolutely dominating at the moment. This has to be released. You've got 2v1,
there we
you've got
go.
time. Finally, Highbury gets a fast break.
Once
Doesn't
again.
counter. Does win the rebound, though.
Once again, that was a beautiful play. Unfortunately, they couldn't convert on the basket, but the fact that they allow the ball to do the moving. Player moves into space, the ball finds him, he finds the next guy that moves into space, and you're under the basket. All they need to do now is they need to convert those particular baskets, and they will be back in this. Well, hopefully they'll be back in this game.
It's an 11-point lead at the moment, and Sacred Heart wins another rebound. That can't happen if you've got the taller guy. Highbury fast on defense. They're not there fast enough. Sacred Heart playing with it. Does draw a foul though.
Yeah, so a little bit more liveliness on the defensive side by Highbury Prep, but Sacred Heart are showing.
Straight in the middle of the key. Doesn't get he gets the shot off, but no points.
Great
Highbury
play.
Prep tries to counter. Now the counter seems to be working for them. Big pressure. Hits the bottom of the basket.
Adam, watch those set plays by Sacred Heart. Those inbound plays at Sacred Heart, and they're varying them. They're not playing the same inbound play all the time. I am liking what this coach has done for Sacred Heart. So
yeah, I feel tactically Sacred Heart has been absolutely superb.
Yeah, so the coach on Sacred Heart side being Mr. Zed Jr. Mutongwa, he has done a superb job with these players.
Talking about coaches, Nkosi Bengu for Highbury Prep definitely needs to go back to the drawing board to try and figure something out as well. So now the ball goes. And a bit of cheeky play, they're letting it play out there.
Yeah, unfortunately it was going to be a backcourt violation if he touched it, so he just felt it's much easier just to let it go out of bounds.
So quick substitution for Sacred Heart, keeping fresh legs, keeping that high intensity. Highbury going to try to score a point. Brown goes up, bam, very nicely posted. Good basics.
Brown has done very well in the second half. He has used his size. He has taken advantage of those young men from Sacred Heart.
He's definitely improved in the second half. A big three-pointer from Sacred Heart. Grenfell mops up the rebound. Now to Brown. Now Brown to Mkizi. Mkizi looks for a player loose, finds him. There's not much room. Clean defense, absolutely superb.
That was a nice block. A nice block. Going back to that Grenfell rebound.
Sacred Heart goes through one, goes through two, goes through three, goes up for the layup, just misses it. Had too much to do in the end. Now Sacred Heart wins the rebound. Not there, boys. You need to do better. Highbury almost fighting each other. Yes, you were saying, Labaka.
Yeah, so that Grenfell rebound, some people just think that a rebound is a rebound, but there was good techniques in that rebound. He used his height, kept the ball above his head, and as we see him getting fouled on the offensive side, kept the ball above his head, knowing that there was no one else that could challenge him for that particular rebound.
But Grenfell and Brown need to, when they have the ball low and they're posting and they turn, they need to explode up. They need to get up there. They can't just come up slowly and lazy. They need to explode up past the Sacred Heart. It will force the foul and you have a better chance of getting a bucket.
Exactly, and I think that's more applicable to Grenfell than to Brown, because we've seen Brown doing some nice things on the post in the second half. Grenfell just needs to do a little bit more of that.
Yeah, Grenfell's been struggling. It hasn't been a great day for him. Highbury Prep struggling as well. Not sure if they had their honey over their oats this morning. Sacred Heart goes down to the key, considers a three, decides to drive, fakes one, fakes two. Bad shot and a bit of a foul drawn though. So it wasn't a great shot, but he managed to draw the foul.
He managed to draw the foul, and that's what Highbury Prep can't afford to do. They can't afford to keep sending these young men to the free throw line, especially when you have results like this.
And what that does is it creates a 10-point lead, so it also stops it being stop-start time in the last 2 minutes, which it goes against Highbury's plan that if maybe they sunk 2 or 3 baskets, they could try and make something happen or create something as much as they could.
Yeah, I mean, we're already into the 2 minutes, under the 2 minutes setup, so it is a bit of a stop-start, but doesn't really help Highbury Prep, especially if they continue fouling. And if they can't get, they still haven't figured out how to beat this full court press.
Sacred Heart. They've been so fast, so explosive, so intense. They know they can steal the ball, and that's exactly what they try and do. Tries to keep it in, does not keep it in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So Highbury Prep can try create something here.
Still appreciate the effort that you're seeing from these young men from Sacred Heart.
They go high. Sacred Heart steals it. Now they're on a quick counter. You've got all the time in the world, my boy. Bit of pressure. That's good defense by number 7, and that is Sparcel Karak from Highbury Prep.
So
Sacred Heart goes up, misses.
Oh, and you know, the steal on the other side, it just goes back to what you said earlier, Adam, about the big men on the Highbury Prep side exploding when they get the ball and keeping the ball above their heads. That steal was because the big man from Highbury Prep kept the ball down low, and the guys from Sacred Heart basically looked at it and thought it was a Christmas gift, and he unwrapped it perfectly.
Look, at the end of the day, in my mind, it is as simple as when Sacred Heart win the ball, they know they have the speed to beat Highbury Prep. That's the difference for me. If they can steal the ball anywhere on the court, they know they have the speed and the ability to walk away and get points. Timeout called in the last 18 seconds. It's called out by Sacred Heart, probably just wanting to shore up defenses and making sure everything goes nice and smooth.
Yeah, you know, these are timeouts with 18 seconds when the score is, you know, it's such a big difference. Sometimes are a little bit frustrating on the players, but at this age group level, you have to appreciate that the players will always do what the coach tells them. And you know, I think the Sacred Heart coach decided that he just wants to run one final play for his players. And these timeouts, you call it because you are planning for the next game. It's not because it's about this particular game. It's because he is trying to plan for the very next game. So let's see what he does coming off this particular timeout.
18 seconds on the clock. Sacred Heart leading 27-16. A sound victory for Sacred Heart. Their coach, the Z Junior Mutangua, will be very happy with this victory, taking them through to the under-13 finals here at Old Mutual Hall. Highbury goes with a long ball. They finally actually get one right.
Finally, the
nice,
Hail Mary
layup.
The Hail Mary works.
Also draws the foul, so he'll get a chance to add 3 to it to bring this game down. Highbury they couldn't string together 3 or 4 scoring phases. And that's where you put 2 to 3 buckets in a row. And I feel that was Highbury's issue.
Yeah, and that's what you just needed. That's what you needed at this point in time in these type of competitions.
Sacred Heart, 8 seconds on the clock. They know they need to focus. Highbury Park stolen it, but there's a lot of pressure. It does go back. That's a backfield violation. Across, there's only 1.3 seconds left. So this game is done, ladies and gentlemen. Labaka, let's see what you think about it.
Yeah, so Highbury Prep came into the second half. They had actually changed their tactic from the first half. The young men had decided that they're going to pick up the intensity, and they did, right? Because as they came in there, Brown scored a nice little bucket down in the low post, and showing that you know, he's going to use the size advantage. But Sacred Heart also made their very own adjustments. They then decided that, you know, let's actually see if these guys can beat us off the dribble. Can they? What adjustments would they make to our full court press? And as we saw throughout the game, Highbury Prep could not adjust to that full court press. That full court press allowed a number of turnovers and allowed Sacred Heart to get some nice baskets off transition.
For me, the fact that, like you mentioned, the full court press by Sacred Heart has been good. At a young age, it worked. They're fast. The intensity was good. High intensity resulted in buckets. They ran hard. They ran for 50-50s. And a thoroughly deserved victory by Sacred Heart. 27-18.
Yeah.
Oh, what an absolute pleasure.
Oh, no, yeah, it was a fantastic game. Great coaching by Coach Mtongwa. Great execution by his young men when they came on the court. But we also have to give credit to Highbury Prep. Highbury Prep gave it their all, gave it their best. They did well to get to this stage of the game. I like the second half adjustment that they tried to make. They will go back to the drawing boards. They will then talk about the defense that they came up against. In the second half, they were a little bit more active on the defensive side. Unfortunately, they couldn't stop Sacred Heart.
So, ladies and gentlemen, and that brings the end of the second semi-final. Your winners is Sacred Heart going through to the final, and they will be playing St. Peter's. The next game, though, so don't go anywhere, is the bronze playoff for the under-13. So Highbury Prep will be back in action to try and take a podium finish. That's a great image there. You can see Sacred Heart thanking their fans and support, and they will be playing against Michael Mount. Highbury Prep needs to have a conversation because they play against Michael Mount now to seal up a podium finish. My name is Adam Zawada. Mr. Labaka was with me. You are being replaced by Takani now, I do believe.
Yes, I think that's
Okay.
That's
Mr.
okay.
Labaka, thank you very much. Say your goodbyes and tell everyone what you think of today's basketball so far.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. My name is Labaka Sohawela. Great basketball today, and very well done to Sacred Heart for that victory.
My name is Adam Zawada. We're going to take a quick breather. Tell your friends, tell your family, follow School Sports Live, because some more good basketball coming your way.